Hello, folks. Welcome to the July issue of the Flatcar Developer Sync. In our monthly Developer Sync call, we coordinate issues, we look at the roadmap, and we align on development work that is ongoing or planned for Flatcar. We have a few pretty cool items on the agenda today. Really looking forward to that. Before we start, Flatcar is a CNCF incubating project, and as such, we adhere to the CNCF Code of Conduct, which basically means be nice to each other, don't talk over each other. If you find someone talking without end and you want to say something, please use the raised hand feature, and we'll make sure that you get your voice heard. Welcome, everybody. Our first item on the agenda, before I share the agenda, is welcome new folks. We have Martin and Timothy, both have been around before, but maybe you want to introduce yourself a little bit to non-regular viewers, starting with Timothy, maybe.
Hey folks, I'm Timothy Ravier. I work on the chorus team at Red Hat, and so I'm also helping with ignition maintenance, doing sysexec work, and all sort of things like that are shared between the two projects.
Great to have you. Martin.
Yes, I'm Martin. Unfortunately, camera doesn't work at the moment, so I can't turn it on for some reason. I'm using Flatcar mainly on bare metal, so in the regards of hosting routing daemons on top of that. So we build kind of appliance for that, using that for a fast control plane there. And I was looking for a really small operating system. So that's why why I'm using Flatcar.
Nice. Thank you.
All right.
And with this, I'll share the agenda so we can have a look on what's going on today. And we just hit the welcome round and our scary announcement again. I think we can slowly phase it out, but I'm actually seeing old instances failing to update to the latest stable release with the post-install script error, which is a clear hint at people being on cgroups v1 and their instances refusing the update. So what happened, we retired cgroups v1 in the latest stable release for the 30.0. That release series does not support cgroups v1 anymore, so any node that is in the cgroups v1 compatibility mode will just refuse the update because we don't want to endanger your workloads, because that node would come up with cgroups v2 enforced, and we don't want that. So we have time for those nodes to migrate them cleanly to cgroups v2. There is one final safety net that you have. You can also switch to the LTS 2024 release series. That's in the LTS channel currently. That one will support backwards compatibility cgroups v1 until mid-2026. The release will receive, the channel will stop receiving regular updates in early 2026. It'll have critical fixes and updates until mid-2026, so you're safe until then. If you absolutely have to do that, please use that time to migrate your workloads to cgroups v2, and please share with us any issues you run into so we can fix them for you. All right. Brings us to the next step, which is the monthly contributors review. We have quite a number of new first-time contributors here. We had a documentation fix for Kubernetes. This is awesome. One-third of the contributors contributing to the project in the last month, I just read Matthew's comment, were actually first-time contributors. Awesome. Welcome to the project. We had a documentation fix for Kubernetes. Documentation is actually one of the more pressing issues in the project. It's always awesome to see traction there, and Cyan has an announcement later on an event that will happen recently, that will happen in a short time, that will focus on documentation. We have initial Proxmox documentation. Again, Docs PR are awesome, contributed, and an ISO workaround for ignition. We had Daniel Crook from the CNCF actually helping us with the CNCF incubation project. Thank you, Daniel, by contributing the expected footer that CNCF wants for their projects on their website. That's live now. We have an ftrace syscall enabled for ARM64. That's awesome. That goes straight to distro repo. Very nice to see that. We have the Nomad sysx finally merged. That took a number of iterations. And I love that Anand actually kept going and kept iterating on the feedback they got. That was good stuff. And someone picked up a URS issue and improved the GitHub Actions. That's very good to see. All right, so let's check on the advisory status and give the word to Dongsu. Dongsu, I'll be sharing my screen for you.
Yes. Recently, we created several security issues, and highlight would be Git and libxml. Both are already being updated by our weekly updates, and thanks to Matthew for taking care of it. That's it.
Awesome. That's good to hear. All right. Then I would actually, before we go through the regular items, I would actually even pull this up and discuss the maintenance mode planning right here. Saya?
Yes, so I'll paste the link.
I see it. Okay, 1 second.
Yes, so as we have started the maintenance mode, which was earliest known as the back smashing days. So in this is primarily the rename was primarily to focus on docs, box smash, everything in the Flatcar project, and essentially we go into this whole maintenance mode on Fridays or every last of every month at the last Friday of every month. And this month, the next would be in next 2 days, that is July 25th. And there is a couple of issues that I have picked up. If you see the comment, there is a basket of work items. A few of the items that I'm planning are from the open issues. So one is like adding documentation on how to run Flatcar with EKS. I see there has been a couple of comments in there with people requiring it. So this is something we can probably look into. The other one is the with the new C groups change, there has been some documentation change that is needed. So so this could be a good avenue to look into it. So these are the two issues for now that are open on the Flatcar repo. But if you see the comment from Jan, you see there's another thing that he wanted to add into the checklist that he has been working on. That is also an issue for now, the work that he has been doing. And to wrap and two items that we are planning, maybe it would be good if folks can add their thoughts into this, is if you see the Flatcar docs, there are a couple of images that are kind of outdated. There are a couple of pages that includes those images, and they are quite outdated in the last given the migration that happened, and few of even are from the CoreOS days. So I think it's a good time that we revamp them. So this would require us to look through the documentation, find those images, see how the workflow currently is, take screenshots, and then update those. So those are the few items I think we can look into. I guess one that comes from the top of my mind is the DigitalOcean one. I think the DigitalOcean had a outdated documentation. in terms of images.
Yeah,
Right.
there's probably a few things that
Yes.
run right into when we just go through here. I don't think anyone is still around to update from the original Chorus Container Linux to Flatcar, so I don't think that has much value to remain in the documentation. And I'm not sure how long Timothy has been around in the Fedora Chorus or even the Chorus project. And yes, we still have documentation on Torx in here. If you don't know what Torx is, be glad. Um, we've deprecated it quite a while ago for systemd sysx. So there are a number of to-dos. I'm gonna pick some for myself, and there are others labeled as good first issues. And I think Dongsu went through the UERS repository and also labeled a few good first issues, right? So if you're interested in Rust coding instead of documentation, Dongsu may have the right pointers for you.
Right. And so Dongsu, if you can, it would be great if you can just post it in the discussion or in this HackMD doc so that people can just pick this thing up from here. I mean, you can just add it beneath the Flatcar good first issue. And the last thing is like one item that I'm planning to work on with Irvin, Jan, and others is to have a Flatcar page where people can easily download Flatcar images or like spawn up Flatcar on different cloud providers. So the idea would be like use this day to uh, brainstorm on the whole page, and then we will use the maintenance mode itself to build the page and not the regular working days. But yeah, the maintenance mode. The day would be focused on building those pages. Yeah, these are the few which I've picked. But folks, feel free to add things that you have on your own, like something you have been planning, and just feel free to add that as a comment, and we can just pick it up on Friday. Yeah, so the idea is that other folks can also look and kind of like sprint on the maintenance mode day with you. Yeah.
Nice.
Ilo?
And I mean, needless to mention for people who are used to it, but who's not encountered a maintenance mode yet, we'll be on this bridge on a Jitsi call, the maintenance mode all day, and you could just tune in and chat us up, and that's why we're doing this too. So if you want to work on some Flatcar stuff and just have a direct link to the developers, then save the date. All right. Let's keep going and look at the roadmap. There haven't been many changes in the roadmap. We are mostly concerned on improvements under the hood. And Shui has an update on one of the most pressing items in a minute. There has been some movement regarding the incubation process, which we just didn't find the time and focus to wrap up. So we're focusing on that. There's one checkbox left in a very long list on incubation onboarding checkboxes. And Jan will have an update for that later on. Other than that, it's basically business as usual. And items are just being worked on. Cluster API is currently on pause. Sysx and Cluster API, there isn't much that we're tracking. Let's take a look nonetheless. Yeah. No updates on these. Secure boot. Cyan, any news?
Nothing much. We are still working with the pending items. That is like getting the working with CNCF to get the things lined up. So that's still in works, and I don't think there's much update other than that.
I could add something here that may be related. User report the other day that he was having trouble booting Flatcar with the newer EDK2 firmware. So the 2025 February release or newer. It seems to have trouble with Red Hat Scrub patches, which Flatcar uses. There is a way you can build that firmware to address that, and that's what Red Hat do. I'm going to do the same for Flatcar, but if you're using a virtualization platform that doesn't have that patch, then you may run into issues where it just completely falls over when it loads the kernel.
That's a good call out. All right. CNCF incubation process. We have a new point of contact for that. Jan, take it from here, please.
Thanks. There's a few things, starting from the most important ones. When it comes to the onboarding process for Flatcar, we're almost done. We did implement DCO, which is Developer Certificate of Origin, last week, basically meaning you have to add -s to all of your commits. Yeah, Yusuf, would you like to speak? Okay. This is one of the requirements. Thank you everyone for joining CNCF Slack. We also added the necessary footer thanks to Crook. That was his first contribution to our project, which is great. Right now, we're working on the domain transfer, which is in progress. I did create a few tickets to CNCF, so I'm waiting for their feedback. Apart from that, there's a few smaller issues that are right now basically kind of already preparing for CNCF graduation checklist. So those are things that we'll have to do anyway, such as, for example, maintainer onboarding documentation, which if you take a look at the second comment on the discussion for the agenda, I did post basically links to every one of these issues. So there's an issue for basically commenting down everything you guys might remember from kind of onboarding yourselves or somebody else, really anything, because as you can probably remember, those are things that kind of come up from time to time. No one really remembers all the time. So it's just kind of a brainstorm on remembering, some of the things you have to deal with. Apart from that, right now, when it comes to the graduation progress, we're actually doing pretty good, very good actually, on the Open SSF batch progress. Thanks to Tila, we are at 97% when it comes to the passing batch, which basically means we have to finish 2 requirements. They have to mainly deal with the way in which we document and write tests for new functionality and major releases. There's also links to that if you would like to take a look. Another 2 things related to that are our standardization initiative for all of our repositories, and basically we're done with almost every repo that does not have individually named maintainers, so just Flatcar maintainer, and we're basically left with only repositories that have specific people as main maintainers. So basically it's a kind of huge call to action to all of you guys to basically start kind of trying to adapt your repos to those standards and changes. There's an issue for that. If you have any problems, just comment them there. And the last thing would be the code owner's implementation. So there's also a new issue for that. The lazy consensus from the last discussion was basically creating a few teams for basically being additional PR reviewing for high requesting contributions for certain repositories, such as scripts, for example. You can go and read that if you're interested. But basically now is the time to like let us know if you have some kind of a different opinion, would like to change something. So there it is. Yeah, that's it pretty much. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. It's really good seeing someone taking over driving this effort. It's really good to see. All right. Gonna make room for Timothy because I just read his comment. You make sure not to drop that. All right. Infrastructure status. Matthew, any updates?
No update. We're actively talking with CNCF folks about getting our new home for Flatcar, but yeah, no update since 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Gotcha. I weekly ping folks and ask for updates. So as soon as anything materializes, we should be able to start using Akamai right away. Nebraska, Irvin. Should you be speaking, you're muted. Seems to be a mic issue because I see the mute icon going on and off, but we still can't hear you.
Have we lost him? I think we have.
I think he closed his browser window and he's trying to get back in again.
Yeah, maybe I can cover up.
Absolutely.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yeah, yes. Awesome. Matthew threatened to speak for you, and suddenly your mic started working. Go ahead, Irvin.
Yeah, let me try to recover the time. In the past few weeks, there's been an increased amount of activity on Nebraska, mainly because got Tyler as well, who helped us do our progress with our housekeeping. So it was not only me and Matthew, but he was also helping us quite a lot. Yeah, we can see that many of the issues have been getting some activities and trying to close them, reviewing them. Besides that, I've been working on a big refactor regarding OpenID Connect. That's with that, Matthew is going to help me out with, as it requires code review. Here I want to signal that it is going to come with a breaking change because the authentication provider needs to be updated from implicit flow to authorization flow, or different providers might have a different name for it, but this should be mentioned in the migration guide that I prepared. What else? I guess these are the main topics. In the following weeks, I want to focus on feature development task, and here I can mention that this new feature of Nebraska is going to help us to make multi-step upgrades for the nodes.
That sounds great. All right. Thanks for the update. Last default item before the release planning is the tactical. Cyan, anything to take note of?
Nothing much update except for one that actually I see now. But yeah, the Terraform GCP marketplace thing is fixed now, so we can merge that, or rather close that thing. But yeah, nothing to be added here.
That's a big achievement. Actually, that was looming for quite some time. Thanks for taking care. Does anyone else have any favorite PR or issue that they want to bubble up right here that we should look at? All right, take that as a no. So we have two more things. The first, I would say, is Timothy with a few things that he wants to present, and then there's Chewy with an update on the boot partition issue resolution. Timothy, you want to take over from here?
Sure. I can do that. Do you want me to share my screen, or
if you like to share your screen? Absolutely, yes. I will stop sharing.
It's going to be pretty short. I've been working on a standalone manager for systemd system extension. So the idea is that systemd sysupdate kind of works right now if you want to use it for updating systemd system extension, but it's not ideal. There's a few things that don't work well. And so I've been looking at doing this in a slightly different way. And so I wrote this small program, which is like a small sysx manager. So let me just share the window. Is this working? Looks like.
Yes, we can see the GitHub page.
Yes. All right. So it's a small Rust program right now that manages sysx in a slightly more opinionated way than the systemd sysupdate, which like has a lot of configuration option, and this one has basically none right now. So if you want to take a look at how this actually looks like this, is this going to work? I don't know. Or if I make it maybe like this. So if I go to a system and I install the sysx manager as a sysx itself, it's like we're literally shipping it as a sysx right now, so I can get the sysx and install it on a system. So this is what I'm doing right now. I'm manually installing it, and I'm manually enabling it on a system, resetting a few Linux bits, and then enabling systemd sysx, the service itself that does the work, and restarting. And so now I have the sysx manager enabled. Well, the sysx is there, and the sysx manager is also available. So if I can ask for like which sysx do I have in my system, it has itself. And then I can add extension. So here I added an opinionated way of adding extensions. So I'm just passing it the name of the extension and the URL where it's going to get them. And then it does everything by itself. So if I do update, it updates the extensions that are installed. It lists them. And then when I enable them, so this is going to change name, but it's writing the symlinks so that all the sysx that I have installed on my system are actually enabled on my system. And then I can refresh and get the sysx actually merged on my system. And so this works pretty nice because I can add as many sysx as I go, and I only need to like know where they come from. I don't need to have the full URLs. I don't need to remember the syntax of systemd update or anything like that, and they will get updated by the manager dynamically and then made available. And of course, I can do the reverse. I can remove everything at the end and get back to a system where I have nothing or just the one that I need. And so the beauty of this is that it's actually a sysex, and it enables itself on boot. So when you reboot it dynamically, so the sysex manager is the only sysex that is like permanently enabled, and on boot it decides which sysex it should enable. For Fedora, it's a little bit more important because like we have Fedora 41, 42, etc., etc., and so Fedora 41 sysex may not be compatible with a Fedora 42 system, etc., and the reverse. For Flatcar, we could also have other logic. Say, I don't know, we're bumping major version of libc, and so we have a sysex that is not compatible with this version, etc., or have different constraints that we could have. Essentially, it opens the door to having constraints be set that right now we cannot really set in systemd. We certainly don't want to go the full package manager way, but some small bits here and there are kind of nice to have, and so this is what this could bring us. So yeah, I haven't, to be honest, I haven't tested it on Flatcar Linux right now yet because I'm still developing it, but it should work, I hope. So people are interested, just showing that.
This is nice. I like it. And the link to your repository is actually in this meeting's agenda. So if anyone wants to check it out in the Flatcar repo of the Flatcar GitHub org, in the discussions, this discussion will be closed because we always close the agenda after a meeting happened. But you'll find it as a closed discussion, the Flatcar Developer Sync on the 23rd of July, and there's a link in there that will lead you straight to the repository. This is really, really good stuff. Like it. All right. Long shot. Do you have any plans in integrating that with core systemd? Because that would be gorgeous, right?
So I have submitted a talk about this at All Systems Go in September. So
nice.
I guess we'll chat at this point in September. I don't know if it will be integrated into systemd, but maybe not. I'm completely open to it. We'll see.
Good stuff. Thank you, Timothy. Chui.
Yep, I think this was largely for Adrian's benefit, and I think he is here. He's been dropping in and out. So yes, you may know I've been trying to address the issue of a lack of space in the boot partition. Things are very tight now. I had proposed a plan to move the kernel image into USR, but that had several consequences, most importantly needing to replace the bootloader, or at least the config for the bootloader. It was slightly controversial, a bit risky. I still think it could work as a plan, but I had another idea that's a lot simpler and potentially more desirable anyway. So when I was comparing what Flatcar does with what other systems do, I noticed Bottle Rocket in particular doesn't have an init RD at all, which I thought was interesting. So I then questioned, why does Flatcar have one? I think the sort of most obvious answer would be, because we need to be able to wipe the root partition and encrypt it or something if that's wanted, and then mount USR over the top of that. So I think we do still need an init RD, but I think it can be a lot smaller than what we have right now. So because obviously our image is just USR, and we already mount USR during early boot anyway because of space issues in the past. For example, we fetch ignition from there and some other utilities. So I'm thinking, well, if we already do that, instead of mounting USR at a strange location like sys USR and fiddling about with paths to make it work, why don't we just mount it at /USR where it's supposed to go in the first place? And then that way we don't even need most of the init RD. So I came up with a prototype, which was basically a tiny init RD with just some directories, symlinks, and a static busybox binary and a small shell script, like a few lines, which mounts USR, the USR partition in the regular place, and then basically switches, then it execs systemd within that partition and carries on. And it that kind of worked, but it wasn't doing a lot of the stuff that our current init RD does because it was lacking units for like ignition and so on. So as another prototype, I grabbed all the extra bits from our current init RD to run ignition and things like that, copied them across, and it's still a little bit rocky, but basically it runs ignition and it boots into Flatcar as normal. And this init RD is like 2 megs uncompressed compared to, I think it was like 85 or something for our current one. So massive, massive savings. So yes, I am now following this as the primary plan until I find something that might get in the way. But main concern right now is that in that busybox script, we don't currently have udev, so we can't make use of like the clever symlinks that you get for mounting by UUID or disk label or anything like that. I'm not sure if busybox's equivalent of udev has that functionality or not. That I have to check that. Otherwise, there may be ways around that. The other concern is we now need to have all the drivers needed to access the disk either built into the kernel or in that init RD. So that's fine. I think we can, we're still making a massive saving, but I'm wondering about more exotic setups, say like Pixie booting, where maybe it isn't actually a disk and we have to do something else. My plan B, it would be maybe to still use Dracut like we do now, but like a very, very minimal Dracut that kind of does what I'm trying to do. So it's like a hybrid solution. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So
this really sounds exciting, and it'll be no touching the bootloader, which benefits the existing instances out there. That sounds great. We might even jump into systemd earlier because basically all the stuff that we need, including udev, is part of USR. So that
yeah.
should work. And I don't know about the drivers, but we have the same issue right now, right? Like everything that's not in USR, everything that's not in the kernel kind of package needs to be loaded from USR. So
yeah. It's quite exciting because it means we can like potentially have features that we would have ruled out for size issues. For example, Clevis, which we do have, we don't currently enable the PKCS 11 support because it's too big. But if we had that and we included, say, our adapter to plug into Azure Key Vault, then I think you could just encrypt a disk and decrypt it transparently using some key in Azure Key Vault, and it would just work. That's just a little idea I've had. Maybe I've not fully thought it through, but yeah, it shows some of the possibilities.
Sounds great. Adrian, what do you think?
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just got out of the server room. So yeah, great to to see this, and looking forward to try it and help you with fiddling, testing it, and so on.
Yeah. Once I've got it past the sort of very rough prototype, I'll share more of the details.
Yeah, my first question was okay, where's Drakut, but you already answered.
Yeah, so there's no Drakut anymore.
Yeah, got it.
Nice. There's a systemd init.rd target maybe that can help you at some point. I'm not even sure if you're using it.
I am, yeah, because
awesome.
The way it switches route, you mount the real eventual route into sys route, and then you mount. Yeah, so I'm bind mounting USR into sys route USR, and then you just pass everything. You tell systemd to just do its thing, and off it goes. So
cool, nice. Yeah, great to have progress on that. I will share my screen again and hand off to Cyan for the release planning, because there's a release coming early August.
Yes. Yes, so we completed release beginning of July and shifted the release that had been planned for the end of July to the beginning of August. So we are planned for the 4th of August week, and the plan is so the changes that have got merged is primarily a lot of the security issues and um, uh, yeah and the weekly package updates. So yeah, that's mostly what we're seeing for the next release. Anything else that folks would like to add?
Maybe at some point we want to include SysX Manager, who knows?
Yes.
And what about using directly SysX images from init.rd? Like, so we solve all the issues.
Don't tempt Chewy.
I also have the PR to extend the boot partition.
I think the only thing that's missing from that PR in order to get it merged is we have a check in Cola that checks if there's enough space in the boot partition after an update. And that check I think it just uses the size of the boot partition as is. And then, so if you would merge the boot partition increase right away, then I think that check would not show us if old instances out there with a smaller boot partition would run into update issues. If we can amend this test to still, ring the alarm for the time being, like we can later, if all instances have updated, we can remove the test. But if you can still have this test and adjust it, that it would account for the smaller boot partition, I think we're ready to go with that. I just don't want to run us into issues that we don't see.
Do you think we should still do that if my plan works out? Because we're going to end up with like 60 megs free roughly after that, I think.
Yeah, but both are investments in the future, right? Like this is both are great. Both are great ideas. They just tackle different parts of the existing issue, right? Adrian?
Yeah, so I was actually working. I'm actually working on the mantle test for this scenario, and it's working. I got some reviews, and so Matthew reviewed the code, and there was need of another reboot. So what I'm thinking to do, and I did in the mantle test, is to basically push a little bit, like 10 megabyte into the boot partition and try with.
No.
it also survives reboot. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're cutting a bit.
Can you repeat,
Oh.
please? We just
Yes.
lost the last few sentences.
Yeah, so the mantle test that I have already created does the following thing. It DDs, it uses DD to add 10 megabytes to the partition, to the boot partition, and then it tries to do an update. And the expected result is for the update to fail, which is already checked. But Matteo suggested to also add a reboot to make sure that it still reboots correctly with the initial Flatcar version. So basically, it doesn't leave any broken systems even after a reboot. So first, it fails. It's expected to fail, right? And then does a reboot and make sure that everything is still booting with the partition. With the Flatcar with the current Flatcar basically. And the mantle test PR is already reviewable right now.
Nice. So if you can make sure that updates that overfull that releases, future releases are tested against overflowing, like the smaller boot partition size, and then we don't release those releases because we obviously don't want to overflow the boot partition size. I think we're ready to merge. Like this is a good PR then. If you have a test for it that covers the old case, that's should be good to go.
Yeah. I will also add this test case, yeah, because I was thinking, okay, but this test case has to be tested against older Flatcar versions, going to the newer ones.
Either that, or you just hardwire the space, right? You don't necessarily need to test against an old version if you hardwire the old boot partition size in that test. But whatever is easier for you.
Yeah, and then it survives the reboot. Just to make sure. One thing that I don't like is that during the tests, I realized that the update engine just does the download of the initRD in the new initRD VM Linux B or A, depending on which state is the current Flatcar in, and it fills the boot partition to 100%. Then it fails, of course, but it doesn't do any cleanup.
Oh, that's a good.
If you know what I mean. So basically, you're losing. So let's say that it's not the. Let's say it's a more complicated environment where you have Flatcar that has already upgraded, and you have both VM Linux A and VM Linux B, and you are overriding, let's say, VM Linux A. You are losing it, of course. VM Linux A is lost because update engine tries to copy it over it, right? Then it fails. It leaves it like that with boot partition in 100% sharp, like, literally 100%. It doesn't do any cleaning, but you also lost the initR, the VM Linux A, the previous one, right?
Yeah.
So but this is not a problem of it's not an issue that it's basically it can happen also right now if some user does something in the boot partition, puts a larger file there. It's a problem with update engine itself, right? And we might want to fix this in some sense.
I entirely agree.
Yeah, I think I should open an issue on this because it's not related to this thing specifically. And then maybe we can try also to solve it for update engine to download the VM Linux somewhere else and then to see if it fits and then fail, but without messing up with the older one, right?
It's either that or clean up afterwards.
Yes, but
I agree.
Even if it does clean up, it would have wiped maybe the user would have wanted to also keep that, right?
You're right. Yeah, we
for
don't
safekeeping, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't have rollback in that case. That's a great catch, and I realize it's entirely like lateral to the work that you're doing.
Yes, it's something that I realized during the test. Okay, what if? So I will open an issue and I will try to fix the update engine in a separate discussion, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, that sounds
on
great.
that matter. Okay.
Awesome. All right.
By the way, after we finish, I also have another, let's say, small idea that I want to discuss. Okay.
I think that time has come. We're through, and we're in the Q&A or open mic time. So please use the opportunity, Adrian.
Okay, great. So we were thinking internally at Cloudbase, what if we like to, so you have a Flatcar image and we consume it from Flatcar releases downloads page. Then we get that image and then we try to customize the image in a offline fashion, like, you know, mount the raw file and put some files in there. Okay. And then afterwards, we like to seal the root partition and crypt it via LUKS2. Currently, what works is that if you encrypt it via LUKS2 offline, you will need to have a password. And that works because you boot Flatcar, you insert your password, and the LUKS2 root partition gets decrypted. Everything is running fine. The thing that we like to, let's say, pursue is that when you do this, to have a way to also encrypt the partition, or basically store the key, the LUKS key, into TPM at first boot, and basically fall back to password only if the TPM2 does the TPM device does not exist, or in between to have also a key file. So basically to have a LUKS2 TPM2 if it exists, key file if it exists, and then fall back to password. Currently, I haven't seen this way of, it's not possible in itself to do it with Flatcar. And I'd like to pursue this in the near future.
I've never tried it, but doesn't Clevis do that? I know it has TPM support. Well, I think it does.
Yeah, the idea was to, so for example, systemd does have this kind of feature, but is independent of one another. You know, you cannot have TPM2 first, then fall back to key file, and then fall back to password if there's no key file. So I'm still trying to investigate on how this would work with Flatcar.
I don't know if Clevis supports that sort of fallback mechanism. It might be worth checking out if you haven't.
Okay, perfect. I will also check Clevis on this. But I wanted to ask you if it's maybe a good idea to pursue this and maybe acceptable to have it as an option to Flatcar.
Yeah, totally. I think.
Yeah, I would love to see that too. Particularly, I mean, we have means of encrypting the root file system, but these aren't really flexible, and we don't have a good selection of options, so we can't really adjust to people's environments. If you want to pursue that, yes, please. I think that would be a great thing to have.
Yeah, the main purpose is to encrypt the root partition, the slash partition at rest. So basically, when you boot the Flatcar, so basically you have the Flatcar, you have it for a customer, and you encrypt it at rest, and nobody can see what's in there, right? Currently, if you do it with Ignition, you have to download stuff, from stuff, have some sort of trust. Maybe people don't want to download so many files, or and it's better to, if you can do it offline, you can do it easily. It's just the raw, convert it to raw, loopback mount it, copy the files, looks encrypted, and that's it. It's completely offline, and might be a good use case for some people.
that definitely sounds good. I'm gonna share something with you might know about or not, that you might find useful. So that's the Sysex Bakery, and there is a tool that's actually pretty much a standalone script, so you could just download it from here and use it anywhere. That's called Bake Flatcar Image, and that automates most of what you just said. It's currently focused on system extensions, but if you want to build on top of it and add more features, so you can manipulate Flatcar base images, I think you would make a lot of users very, very happy, because we get this kind of customization requests regularly. And should we do that, and should we extend this, I think we should move it to scripts instead of Sysex Bakery if it becomes more general. But it might be of help to what you're currently doing, and if you want to automate what you're currently doing in terms of encryption, it's not in there at all yet, but that might be a good place to kind of consolidate the work.
Thanks. I will take a look on that. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
The main idea also with this feature is to survive upgrades. So basically, in the way the customization doesn't affect any upgrade, anything to work with upgrades, right? So this has to be also a requirement to be in some way transparent after you do the encryption.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay,
Nice.
we'll pursue this in the short term. Thanks.
Cool. That sounds great. Thanks for bringing it up. All right. Anything else folks want to discuss? I'm going to stop sharing. And if you want to speak up, please do so now. All right. Thanks, everybody, for contributing to this meeting. That was a pretty packed agenda. I'm very happy that everybody contributed so well. Good stuff. Looking to see you back on Friday in the maintenance mode. That would be an all-day call, but it will not be streamed, so we're just here. So please check in with us and help us to improve Flatcar and Flatcar docs. Otherwise, see you at the August office hours.